This is not a sponsored video.
Sweet Lou from Sweet Lou Photography. I talked him into buying one too, and he's going to be doing an in-depth review, I'm sure. In-depth, whatever that is.
People, lower your expectations. There's really not a lot to say about this camera. Other than...
fucking thing!
Yo, what up? How's your dog doing? I have a really good joke for you here. Hang on a sec, okay? You ready? What do you call a cheap trash camera from Kickstarter that you spent way too much money on for a stupid YouTube video? This isn't rhetorical, by the way. Do you give up? Why, it's the Fragment 8, of course. Oh, let's talk about this absolute piece of shit. You ever see Futurama? I always feel like that robot who likes to stab when I'm using that knife.
Now stand back, I gotta practice my stabbing. No, please!
Grab this guy out of here. And the rest of the box is landfill. Okay, wow, this feels very cheap. Well, sure, it might feel cheap, but it's what's inside that really counts. Cheap cameras can produce beautiful results. This cheap camera does not. So that's terrible. 720p footage that looks like ass. What year is this, 2010? Oh wait, I just happen to have some footage from my flip camera from 2010.
How embarrassing.
Now some of you might be thinking, well, the lo-fi aesthetic is to mimic Super 8. Well, as someone who shoots Super 8, I can, no. This is what real Super 8 footage looks like. And this is what the Fragment 8 looks like. See the difference? I was initially planning on making a video alongside this one comparing actual Super 8 film to this camera, but then I deemed that a waste of time and money. I didn't want to hate this camera, I really didn't. I don't go into reviews saying, oh boy, I can't wait to hate this camera. But holy crap on a pita, this thing is just landfill that hasn't been delivered to the garbage dump yet. I'll let you be the judge of the video quality, but let me just tell you how I feel. The fact that there isn't some sort of filter makes this camera less unique than it could have been. This could have been a quirky camera used on special occasions. Like a Polaroid, you know, bring that out and it's like, ooh, look at this, special. But it's not. It's just a shitty Wish.com tier camera wrapped up in a admittedly cool looking body. It's like when you take a nasty Taco Bell dump and then spray a little bit of that Febreze air freshener stuff, not sponsored by the way, and expect your girlfriend to take a deep breath in the bathroom and not smell the dump. You know? There's no grain added, no filter to play with the colors, and no sprocket holes. There's really nothing about this footage that screams Super 8 to me. The footage is about as sharp as a basketball, and the detail is just, it's mud. It's just all blocky and disgusting. In my A6400 review video, I gave that camera a lot of shit over how bad the rolling shutter is. Well, let me tell you, here's the new heavyweight champion of rolling shutter. The rolling shutter on this camera is so severe. I can't even think of a joke. It's just awful. And if you're not sure what rolling shutter is, all you gotta do is look at lines that should be straight. As the camera's moving, they start to bend. In this case, it's pretty severe. I was just walking past this fence. Look at how skewed that post gets. There's also a 9 FPS setting, which tends to make everything look much worse, and also exacerbates the rolling shutter issue.
Now what does exacerbate mean?
It means, to make things worse.
Right.
And the rolling shutter issues is a bit of a surprise to me, honestly. I don't know why, maybe because I'm stupid, but their Kickstarter claims that this camera has a 3/3" CCD sensor. And typically CCD sensors don't suffer from rolling shutter as bad as a CMOS sensor would. So I'm gonna go ahead and press X to doubt there. Can't confirm. If someone takes it apart and finds out that it is a CMOS sensor, let me know in the comments below. I'm not gonna take it apart because I probably will break it and I need to sell this thing. One other oddity with the video footage is that it really can't handle highlight highlights very well. If you show the sun, it's either going to flare up really bad, which I guess can be somewhat aesthetic in certain scenarios, or it'll just kind of flicker and look very distracting and awful. You can take photos on this thing. I don't know why you'd want to. You can also shoot GIFs, I guess for Instagram if you like doing that. I'll forgive you if you're feeling a little bit like this right now, because the Fragment 8 records GIFs in glorious 240p. That's impressive. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want their stuff to look a little bit worse than the videos and photos we just saw? I guess we shouldn't be terribly surprised because it has 2 megapixels. And I'm not sure if this is true of every version of this camera, but mine came with the normal lens along with 3 kind of artsy filter lenses. There's a kaleidoscope, a radial blur, and a star filter. Maybe you can pair them up with your phone and do something cool with them like Knoptop suggested, but apart from that, it's just a gimmick. It's not really useful at all. I almost completely forgot to mention, right out of the box, the main lens of the camera had a scratch on it. Awesome. So in conclusion,
Fucking thing!
there's a lot of instances on their Kickstarter main page where they talk about social media. Direct sharing on social media, TikTok, Instagram. But to me, as someone who creates content for social media, this isn't nearly high quality enough for me to feel comfortable sharing it, nor is it vintage enough for it to look nostalgic and exciting. It's just kind of that weird early 2000s digital look. It's not something I don't think many people are very nostalgic for necessarily. But stick with me here for 1 second, because I know this is kind of a crazy idea, but if you're a mobile content creator, you're using your phone to post to TikTok or Instagram, you could just download an app that looks like Super 8. For example, Vintage Camera has a free version on Android. There's also a paid one for $5, but to me, that looks way more like Super 8. Yes, sure, some of the color burn effects are a little ridiculous, but you have the phone already. Why buy another tool for something that's going to be lower quality than the phone you already have? Especially if you just need to buy a $5 app instead of a $140 camera. And I know this has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about, but I just couldn't help but point out Fragments of Life just sounds like some weird Kingdom Hearts shit, and I just can't stop laughing about it. But the image quality is only half of the problem. The other half is how the camera feels. One of the big things I always talk about in my reviews is ease of use and ergonomics. So I want to break things down here, and I need to tell you a little bit of a story to do so. See, much like a Bethesda game, there was a big day one patch. You had to install this thing onto the SD card. Basically, you took this bin file, you put it on your SD card, popped it in, turned the camera on while holding the trigger button. Sounds simple enough. Would have been great information to know on that post that you had to format your card to FAT32. See, I'm the type of guy who uses both Mac and PC, so everything I own is formatted to exFAT. I had a ton of fun over the course of a week not shooting with that camera and figuring out what was wrong with the stupid update. Now, the information regarding the SD card was in the instruction manual. I didn't read it, to be fair, but you would think that it would have been included in that post about the update. Whatever, me and my galaxy brain figured it out. I will say, after that initial hurdle, the thing does work. I mean, not great, but it works. There's a weird delay when you turn the thing onto video mode. You have to wait almost a couple of seconds before you can start shooting. The lights won't turn red, which is your indication that the thing is actually filming. The door on the side of the camera that houses the lenses is absolutely awful. Is this just... that doesn't feel good. How the hell do you take this thing off? Oh, God. Okay. Oh, my... Dude. Yeah, we're off to a good start here. How I haven't broken that off yet is literally a miracle. You sorta just pry it off. It's that bendy type of plastic that makes you feel anxious when you touch it, you know what I mean? It's pretty uncomfortable getting your fingies in there to unscrew the lenses too. First of all, it feels like it takes forever to unscrew them, but they're also so close to that back wall that you don't have a whole lot of leverage. And maybe it's because I got some
Big meaty claws!
But this time I think I'm gonna say it's the design of the camera. The camera also comes with a turret mount, so you can put all 3 lenses on at once and then kind of rotate them into place. It is pretty annoying to screw together. I would not want to be doing that outside of my house. Like if I was out on the street, I'm sure I would lose the little cap thing that kind of holds everything in place. Fortunately, they did give you 2. I guess they assumed you would lose 1. But I also just really don't see the point of it. Rotating in real time just doesn't really do anything other than black out the camera for a second. So I definitely didn't spend a lot of time with this because I just kind of found it fiddly and annoying. So instead, I opted to just screw the lenses right onto the camera. The handle on top too, it's like male nipples. It just shouldn't exist. It serves no purpose, and frankly it makes the camera look more ugly. The trigger button is completely bizarre. It bends in both directions, it wiggles, it's loose, it feels like it's broken right out of the box. So we got a little, oh my god. That probably shouldn't be that loose. Huh. Yeah, apparently that's fine. Apparently that's just how it's supposed to work. You click it to the right for video and to the left for photo. But there's a mode dial on the camera. Could they have not added a fourth switch there for a photo mode onto the dial and then just had the trigger that didn't wiggle? Like, what is this? The mode dial is also kind of stiff and shitty. I mean, they almost said it themselves in an update.
Please twist the mode button to turn on the device. The mode button will break if it is pulled out of the camera. You may check out the previous update number 14 for more details.
And right in the same neighborhood, the FPS switch between 9 and 24 frames per second, it's awful. It's loose, it's shaky, it slips and slides all over the place, but don't worry, according to them,
the 9:24 button is loose. However, it works. You may identify the shooting FPS by the shutter sound.
That is some big Todd Howard energy there. I really, really appreciate that.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
And yes, you did hear that robot voice correctly. This thing does make fake shutter sounds. Does it differentiate between 9 and 24 FPS? You betcha. So you might be thinking, well, Lou, doesn't that affect my audio? To which I would say, oh, you. This thing doesn't record audio? What do you think this is, a camera? Now, I get the idea Super 8 doesn't do audio either, but hey, my Canon 514 XL, it isn't digital, nor is it a sound Super 8 camera, so it kind of makes sense that that one doesn't do audio. But this camera's digital. I would expect some of those modern creature comforts with it. The viewfinder is basically unusable. It reminds me so much of like an eye exam, and you get to that line where the eye doctor's like, can you read that? And you just can't even vaguely imagine what the letters are, so you just guess every single one of them, and the doc has to be like, yeah, let's try a bigger line. That's what it's like, it's useless. It's obviously not showing you what the lens is seeing exactly, so not only can you not tell when there's a lens cap on there or when you're using one of the specialty lenses, but it also ends up having you frame things a little bit awkwardly. For example, Rebecca in the car, I didn't intentionally frame from her eyebrows down, you know what I mean? It's just the viewfinder is pretty damn inaccurate, and also terrible. The grip is fine, you can hold it in your hand, it functions. They chose to hide the SD card input underneath the grip, which honestly is a pain in the ass to get your fingers in there to pop the SD card out of there. And there's also a USB input which is used to charge the camera. Again, kind of annoying to get your fingers in there to charge it. And I gotta take a second to talk about build quality here. This is cheap. This is probably one of the cheapest cameras I've ever handled. I really can't emphasize that enough. You can almost hear how cheap it is from the B-roll. Ugh. If this was a demo, like a proof of concept, I'd understand, but holy hell, I don't think I've ever held a cheaper camera before. This thing feels more poorly assembled than the dreaded Yashica Y35. Video coming soon, TM. The last thing I want to talk about is what I'd like to call the Kickstarter Dilemma. It's no secret that not everything that comes out of Kickstarter is gold.
Bar suit, clothes for extreme situation.
But more specifically for Fragment 8, the team put out 15 updates, many of which were discussing delays. In their defense, Rona, but still. But I'd like to call attention to some of the comments. There are two categories, either complaining about the build quality, rightfully so, or possibly worse off. The other half are people literally in Hong Kong who haven't received their camera yet with just no response. The reason that's a little weird to me is because the Fragment 8 team is based in Hong Kong. And the only reason I say possibly worse is because I can't tell if that's actually worse, because I have my camera and I wish I didn't. Oh hey look, it's Knoptop, hi buddy. Listen, I know about nasty comments, it comes with the territory, I get it. But when the overwhelming majority of comments are negative, you probably did something wrong. Look at their YouTube channel. They literally turned off comments on their promo video. I wonder why. You think it's because they were all so overwhelmingly positive that they didn't want to get complacent? I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know much about the laws behind advertising and how much wiggle room companies have to over-exaggerate their product, but man, this campaign is egregious in my opinion. Look at how wildly different their demo video footage looks from the actual camera. Not to mention how skewed it is between showing the demo footage versus the woman using the camera. Kind of an interesting creative decision there, no ulterior motives at all, I'm sure. It really is genius when you think about it though. The camera looks great in photos and videos. It's when you touch it and use it that you realize it's garbage. It was the perfect bait for people like me, for people like Knoptop to say, oh wow, I love Super 8, I love making films, this would be an awesome tool. And I fell right into the trap. I'm really not the type of person who would want to sue or whatever. I'm not even asking for a refund. But frankly, I think this is symptomatic of a much bigger issue on Kickstarter. I really think Kickstarter needs to take accountability for projects like this that raise a shitload of money and then deliver absolute garbage. It completely destroys the legitimacy of the website when you have a crowd-funded project like this. Not only that, but Fragment 8 also popped up on Indiegogo. How much money did they raise in total for this thing to release a toy? Remember when I said there wasn't much to say about this camera?
Haha, sweet Lou photography.
The Fragment 8 Digital Super 8 camera had so much potential to be a unique camera that I brought everywhere with me, but it fell so short in so many ways. It's cheap, it's overpriced, and it's useless. I would avoid this camera like the plague, and if you bought one like me, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Haven't turned the Owen Wilson rating system on in quite a while, but I'm giving this one a 0 out of 10, which I think is a first on this channel. History in the making, unless I'm wrong, in which case tell me in the comments. Before we get out of here, we gotta talk about the feature of the week. If you want to be a part, you can join the Discord. The link is in the description below. This week's theme was fall autumn colors, and this week's feature goes to Aroma Tissue with her awesome double exposure Polaroid. It's just such an awesome shot. I love it so much. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. As always, smash that subscribe button, share the video, leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you think. Did you get scammed by this Kickstarter too? Yeah. I hope I saved some of you some money by not buying this crap. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
And will you tell all your friends to smash the subscribe button? Today was all they were thinking. Today was all they were thinking. Let's go.